Are there any particular spots that the two of you enjoy hiking out there in the Smokies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is big, so there's plenty to choose from. There's over 800 miles of maintained trails, so it's really a matter of picking something on your comfort level and just what you're looking to see and do while you're in the park. Just off the top of my head, there's a couple nice ones I like to recommend pretty frequently. Again, depends on what you're looking for.
Hey everyone, this is Jeremy. Welcome to Price Points. Here at the Price Points podcast, we believe in finding fun ways to stay active. And in this episode, we've got Jenny and Joe. Now, you're a fan of the show, you've been watching. First off, thank you. Second, you may remember Jenny from a previous episode where she talked about Peaceful Side Brewery and also kicked off our Trails and Ales live events. That first event that we had in March was great, and we've got an upcoming event on May 11th that we'll talk about in this podcast. Now, this time Jenny has brought Joe along. Joe is from Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center, which is, or SMOC for short. Now, the two of them talk about, fun ways to stay active around the Townsend, Tennessee area of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It was great to have the two of them on. I was able to catch up with Jenny and then also kind of pick Joe's brain when it comes to hiking essentials and finding some nice hikes to hit up Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Again, in this episode, we talk about the May 11th event that we've got coming up. It's the day before Mother's Day. We'll be meeting at Peaceful Side Social in Townsend, meeting there around 8:30, do a hike up to Spruce Flats Falls. Now, this is not the traditional 2-mile out and back Spruce Flats that I'm sure several people are familiar with. Rather, this is a longer hike. It is Spruce Flats Falls via the Lumber Ridge. And so a section of it does go through an old trail that's no longer really kept up. It's a fun trail. Actually hiked it several days ago with my buddy Wes, who hopefully will be at the May 11th event as well. Two of us scoped it out and really, really excited about this one. And I think you will be too. To register, you can either find us on Facebook or here in the show notes, I'll have a direct link to Price Points, and that's pricepoints.com. There you'll see the registration link. Just fill out your name and email. Let us know how many people are coming along. Boom, you are in. Now, we'll say in this podcast, Jenny does peel back the curtain a little bit and let everybody know some incentives for those of us who will be hiking on May 11th. That includes some free ice cream from Peaceful Side Social, and then also 20% off any item at Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center, which is a heck of a deal. I think that's great that these two great businesses are partnering up and encouraging us to get out and giving us a nice little incentive. That said, here we go with Jenny and Joe, Peaceful Side, and SMOC. I want to thank Jenny and Joe for coming on to the podcast here. Jenny's was on a previous episode with Peaceful Side, talking about Peaceful Side, the brewery in Maryville, and then also social that's out in Townsend. And then Joe is with SMOC, and I want to see if I remember this correctly. I don't have it right in front of me. Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center?
It's Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center.
All right, good deal, good deal. So I guess I'll kind of toss it off to Jenny here. Jenny, you can kind of explain maybe the relationship, with Peaceful Side and with SMOC.
Absolutely. Well, Peaceful Side Social started in Townsend. It's an Oldham Hospitality location. Oldham Hospitality is our umbrella company, and it's family owned by the Oldhams, and they work right here with us, and we're actually in Mark's office right now. And I mean, it's a great company to work for, and we've grown. So now we have the Peaceful Side Brewery, but Peaceful Side Social, um, it started not long after SMOC, and which is another Oldham Hospitality location. SMOC is, along with Apple Valley and Dancing Bear Lodge and Appalachian Bistro. And so we're just still family owned and operated, but growing. And we really like to bounce things off each other and collaborate whenever possible. And everything sort of anything to do with adventuring in the Smoky Mountains, we always like to collaborate on, like this upcoming hike.
Right.
So
Mhm.
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. So I guess Joe, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe also kind of let everybody know the benefits or what is, SMOC.
Yep. So I'm Joe. I'm the general manager here at the Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center. Um, like Jenny was saying, we're part of Oldham Hospitality. We're another somewhat newer side of the business. This is just our third full year in operation. We are a specialty outdoor retailer, so yeah, our focus is on, essentially helping in Oldham Hospitality's goal of creating good experiences in the outdoors, and a big part of that is being prepared with the right kind of clothing, equipment, footwear, and all those nice things you need to actually have a good time out in the park and not be wet and uncomfortable.
No, absolutely. And I've stopped in SMOC a couple of times and actually needed something for a hike and was fortunate. And it was the first time I stumbled upon it. Didn't even realize it was out there. Didn't even realize I needed what I needed until I stopped
Mhm.
and, grabbed, I think I was getting gas and in Maryville. And I was like, shoot. And I was on my way out to the Smokies through Townsend and saw it like in Google Maps, and so was able to
Mhm.
stop in, get what I needed. It saved me having to drive all the way back home, and also made it made it a pleasant hike for sure. So, and speaking of hiking and price points is all about finding fun ways to stay active. I guess Joe, as far as kind of thinking of different places, really different places to hike. Are there any particular spots that the two of you enjoy hiking out there in the Smokies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is big, so there's plenty to choose from. There's over 800 miles of named, maintained trails. So it's really a matter of picking something on your comfort level and just what you're looking to see and do while you're in the park. Um, just off the top of my head, there's a couple nice ones I like to recommend pretty frequently. Again, depends on what you're looking for. There's stuff like Clingman's Dome, which is going to be not too strenuous of a hike, but it gets you at one of the most beautiful destinations probably in the southeast United States. And so that's what we call like a nice peak hike. Um, it's also, and a lot of people don't really realize this, if especially if they're new to the area. There's quite a lot of water features in the park as well. So we've got things like Ramsey Cascades, Laurel Falls. If you want to do the Cates Cove auto touring loop, there's plenty of trails that come up off that. Abrams Falls being a great, moderate 4 mile out and back in. That lands in Abrams Falls, one of the greatest waterfalls on the west side of the park. So there's plenty of options to choose from. It just depends on what your comfort zone is and what you're looking to see and do.
Yeah, Max and I did Abrams recently. I'm trying to think, it's maybe been, I want to say maybe a couple months ago, but I could be off on that. But he had never hiked out there, and so we took the day, drove out, and did it, and he had a blast. I did too. But then on the way back, he was determined to beat this family that was traveling from, oh gosh, somewhere in Western Europe, or maybe actually no, Eastern Europe. And so Max was just determined to beat a husband and wife and their college kids. I don't know why, but he wanted to just run and gun and and get back. But that's just a silly 11-year-old's mind, I suppose. Well, thinking about, again, kind of tying back Smock and what I said a moment ago, just as far as being prepared, what are some essential items someone really should always have in their backpack when they're heading out for a hike, regardless if it's kind of like what we're talking about, Abrams, or if they're doing an extended kind of journey.
Mhm. So there's something that we like to refer to as the 10 essentials list. Um, it's a it's a fairly common sense kind of oriented thing, at least, from my perspective. But the whole idea is, in being prepared, it's not what you expect you're going to need, but it's what you hope you don't need. you
Yeah.
know, um, but it's basic survival kind of stuff. Starts from navigation, maps and compasses, and one of the things people don't really anticipate is once you get into the park, you're losing cell coverage. So if you do end up off the trail, it's good to have some kind of paper map to be able to get your way back. And that's just a safety thing. Other things we list, you want to have a first aid kit. Accidents happen. Some of the trails can get steep or wet and slippery, and if you trip and fall and skin your knee, you want some basic bandages and just first aid stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
You can find this list on the National Park Service's website,
Yeah.
nps.gov. It is like the most recommended list for anyone going into any adventure. And Team Busar they are a search and rescue team for the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They're volunteer based, and we work with them at Peaceful Side Social. And that is one very important thing, like number one thing that they always tell everyone who's going into the park to do to stay prepared is get the 10 essentials list, print it, and go to like your local outdoor center,
mhm.
make sure you have everything on it. But it's like simple things too, like Joe
Yeah.
was saying, water.
Yeah, spare food, nothing you have to cook. So, some
Yes.
protein or energy bars, dried food, that dried fruit, that kind of stuff. Um, Again, being a rainforest, you want to pack a poncho and some basic emergency shelter kind of stuff, just in case you get caught unawares, because uh, no one enjoys going out on a hike on a bright and sunny day, and then with the weather being as unpredictable as it can be in this area, you
Yeah.
know, getting wet and having a soggy hike back.
Lots
So
of people get lost all the time in the Smokies, or they're not prepared. They're wearing the wrong shoes. They don't have enough water. Happens all the time. So,
Yeah. Well, and we'll have that list probably here on, if anyone's watching, on YouTube channel, definitely pop it up there, but we'll have a link to that as well in the show
absolutely.
notes. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
So what are, looking, we're in spring, even though a couple days ago when I was out running, it felt more like summer. But what are some of the trends and maybe some new innovative kind of things that you all are seeing that's coming up that people may want to keep their eye on?
Joe would probably be the best to answer that.
so when you're talking about trends, you mean just kind of new stuff in the outdoors, or what kind of stuff people are looking for, or
Well, yeah,
both?
either or. If you're seeing like an uptick in certain things that people, that people
Mhm.
are searching for, or if there's something brand new, like in the way of, gosh, like Gore-Tex technology or anything like that.
Well, I'd say, I mean, the big thing, I guess, and people are talking about in the industry right now, is more of an environmental kind of thing.
All right.
Um, you know, one of the things that's been being discussed quite a lot lately, talking about waterproofing stuff, is just different manufacturers and the industry as a whole moving away from PFAs, which is a chemical used across a number of industries, but it's basically what allows like rain shells to be hydrophobic, so that they actually keep you dry because the water rolls right off of it. Unfortunately, we've somewhat recently learned that these while these chemicals work well to keep people dry, they're not great for the environment. They're one of those, forever chemicals that just do not break down easily and stay in the waterways and, eventually make it into, animal and even people. Um, so as environmentalists and people who enjoy the outdoors, trying to move away from PFAs and create some alternatives so that we can keep staying cool and dry out in the outdoors without ruining the outdoors is kind of what everyone's talking about right now. So that's something that you know the consumers will see as well, because there will be some changes in rain shells, waterproofing technologies, just as we continue in this ever evolving industry of trying to do our best to not ruin the environment that we're trying to go out there and enjoy.
Mhm.
Right, right. So I, kind of talking about, the environment, and then also on a certain level, sustainability. Is there, you know, I, how could people, best maintain and care for their outdoor gear to kind of make sure that they, to ensure longevity and really to make sure they're getting the best performance, like optimal performance out of them?
Yeah, it really does depend on the piece of gear and equipment itself, but I think the big thing is, while a lot of this stuff is more on the rugged and more technical side of things, it is still something you want to take care of and appreciate. Um, one thing I think people have a misconception about with like Gore-Tex and waterproofing stuff is that you know they for the longest time people said you don't wash it, you just wear it, and it gets clean itself when you wear it out in the rain, but it's actually important to actually run these things through a wash cycle every once in a while, because it'll actually um, repair the actual waterproofing when you do that. And it's actually, dirt and little debris that wear down these things over time. So um, just keeping up with your gear and keeping it clean, that's going to help make it last longer, get more use out of it. And that's really a big part of sustainability as well. Not tossing these things in the trash once you think they're not working well. Most of these things are designed to last 5, 10 years, so that we're not buying new jackets, every year, and contributing to all of the manufacturing waste and water usage of having to make tons of these things. You want to have your gear last as long as possible, and that alone contributes to sustainability.
Yeah.
If you get a hole in your jacket, don't toss it. Take it to one of the manufacturers. Most of them have lifetime repair and replace policies. I have several jackets that are 5, 10 years old, and I've been at a campfire and burned a hole in my polyester, and patch it up and wear that with
Mhm.
pride.
SMOC sells really cool no sew patches. So you can, and they come in all kinds of
Mhm.
designs. I don't have any to show you, but when you come in, check them out. And any hole that you have, you can just put it on top of your hole, and actually decorates your gear, and create your own style, and it doesn't end up in the landfill.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I guess, thinking, talking about outdoor gear, but then kind of shifting back, and we touched on it a little bit. I know, Joe, you mentioned, we talked about Abrams, and we talked about the Klingman's Dome, and I think those are really really good hikes. And especially Abrams, because I just mentioned Max, to take kids on for a hike. But
Mhm.
Mhm.
is there anything, as you're taking any kind of special consideration or anything you're thinking of when it's not just you or other adults, but also having children to kind of hike along? Is there any advice or tips you can give any kind of new hikers that may also be parents?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to start nature education early and get kids out in the outdoors. Um, that said, it's not, like a well maintained playground at the park. It is nature, and um, you got to be a little bit more wary about, um, you know, not having them wander off.
Mhm.
But most of the trails in the park, the ones that we would consider, day hikes, are pretty well maintained. And so it's not much of a safety issue. It's just a matter of doing your research and staying to the lighter trails and not necessarily trying to you know climb every steepest mountain you can find. Stick to things like Middle Prong. That's a great trail
Spruce
past
Flats
Tremont.
Falls.
Schoolhouse Gap. It's just a matter of doing your research. Hit up. I don't know if you're familiar with. There's an app called All Trails. Um,
Jeremy loves that app.
yeah, yeah. Big fan of All Trails. So, I mean, just picking the right spot to be at
Yes.
and staying towards the better maintained parts of the trails will
And
be fun.
as a mom myself, and you probably know too, you want your kids to, have comfortable shoes. Like that's probably huge. I would just make sure that they're wearing the right shoes. I think SMOC still sells
Mhm,
some kids' shoes, some really great kids' shoes, like Chacos, Tevas,
mhm,
any kind of shoe like that would be really great for the kid. Comfortable, can get wet, or go on the trail. Having lots of water and snacks. Kids love their
mhm,
snacks. So just having stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's lots of family friendly trails. I think another one that we mentioned last time, Sugarlands, it's like a popular one, but you can take your dog on it. So if you're like traveling with your family, that's a good one to go to. And it's very short and there's a waterfall. So um yeah.
That's right. No, that's a
Yeah,
that's a win-win with dog owners. Yeah, so
for
that's they'll be
sure.
able to go for a hike and then a payoff with the waterfall. You know, and really speaking of hiking, uh, Jenny, we've got an event. We did one in March. I think it was a really positive turnout. We were going to hike Middle Prong, and unfortunately, some storms came through, but we were able to pivot and do a very nice loop. Out there, in the park, and then kind of came back, and everyone kind of got together. That one was at Peaceful Side Brewery, but we're looking at doing an event May 11th, and the event on May 11th will be at Peaceful Side Social there in
Townsend.
Townsend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that one, I guess we're looking at that's the day before Mother's Day. So this one's going to be geared, talking about families.
Mm-hmm.
The previous one was for families too, but this one, and I think you can talk a little bit more about the benefits of us meeting at Peaceful Side Social, and then also getting together afterwards at Peaceful Side Social. There's a lot of things that the entire family can enjoy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Peaceful Side Social. So I guess you guys will meet there. And then you'll some will probably carpool to the trailhead. And once you guys enjoy the trail and you come back, you can enjoy all that Peaceful Side Social has to offer. And I'm I might be biased, but like I absolutely, if I didn't work here, I would feel the same. I promise. It's uh so we have a craft kitchen with sourdough pizzas and really delicious sandwiches, and everything is handcrafted, right, and prepped right on site in our kitchen. And we have all kinds of things that you can share or just enjoy. And then we have about 14 different craft beers on our taps in the craft kitchen area. All kinds of different beers, including a lot of flagship beers, Peaceful Side Brewery beers, and other beers from local breweries. You can also get wine on tap if beer's not your thing. We also have kombucha and a non-alcoholic option. And then outside in the beer garden, we have a taco bar, and our taco bar has equally awesome food. We house smoke and house braise all of our meats that go in the tacos and use premium ingredients. You can get a margarita, and then we also have some international lagers out there as well. We've got a very large beer garden, so everyone can enjoy the Smoky Mountain views and the fresh air, and enjoy their food and time with their family. There's also a playground. So if you have small children, I don't know if this hike is really well suited for smaller children. They might get tired. But either way, I guess somebody could turn back and if they wanted to, if they were bringing small children. But there's a playground at Peaceful Side Social. So even if you do have small children, they can enjoy that while you sit back and have some beer and some food and hang out with the family or friends. And then we also have our newest addition, Peaceful Side Creamery, which opened last year, right at the end of summertime last year. And we've been serving handcrafted ice cream from our creamery since. And we've just started building upon like the foundation of building all kinds of different flavors. Now we have a lot of toppings, including hot fudge, sprinkles, waffle cones, the whole works. So there's something literally for everyone.
Yeah, and mentioning the hike, and I guess I left that part out. So we're looking at doing a very nice Spruce Falls Flats hike. Not the traditional. There's a traditional out and back, which I think is about 2 miles. It's something that Max and I actually did. We've done it in the past. I can't remember when. I want to say maybe 2021. So it's been a minute. But the hike that we're looking at doing as a group is using an old service road. And if anyone's familiar with the Spruce Flats loop, and being able to hike that so that the payoff there at the end, seeing the falls, and I haven't done this hike yet, but from what I've heard is that coming in this way into the falls, you can actually see more. You can actually see additional falls at the top that you typically don't see with the traditional out and back 2-milers. So if that's not the case, I'll just I'll throw someone under the bus the day of and just say someone told me and then point a finger at somebody. But that's at least what I've heard, and I think that was also mentioned on All Trails. So yes, it's that is a fun app to use, especially one that I've found since being a dad, because I can read reviews and see how accurate the information is from people who've actually been out there and hiked, and also get some additional information you wouldn't see, like if there's problems with the roads, knowing that, okay, well, there are several potholes, getting to the actual trailhead, may not want to do that because my car will bottom out, things like that. So anyway, going back to the hike there that we'll be doing out on May 11th. Jenny, I know last time we did kind of an adventurous flight, but seeing as how this is close to Mother's Day, and we may have some people who are under 21 doing this with their parents, talked about possibly doing something else a little different. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do a little something different this time. And if you participate in this hike, you get a complimentary scoop of our craft ice cream. And if you want to, grab a beer and throw your scoop into it, make a beer float like Jeremy likes to do.
That's what I plan on doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll also reward you. We love to reward outdoor adventurers. We want to get you guys outside. That's why we do this and why we're collaborating on this, and why we're throwing SMOC in this as well. So we're going to sweeten it up and add 20% off one item and a sticker if you stop by the store.
Really?
Way
Wow.
out. So that is awesome. You can find all kinds of awesome brands in here, like all kinds. So so 20% off an item and a complimentary scoop and a sticker from SMOC. So
That's amazing. See, I knew about the, I'm going to peek behind the curtain. I knew about the ice cream. I didn't know about the SMOC. That's awesome.
Yeah, surprise.
I tell you, so, as people are listening to this and hearing about this, how can they find out more about SMOC so that they're ready to use that day of the event?
Well, we're about to redo our website. So it's gotten a little outdated, but we're going to be redoing that and making that look a lot better. But you can definitely find information at smoctn.com. So SMOCTN.com. That's our website. You can find our phone number, our location, and some general information on there and events that we offer at SMOC. And then on our social media pages, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Smoky Mountain Outdoor Center.
Awesome. And I'll have all that listed in the show notes as well, so people can kind of click and go from there. Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you all very much for being on the podcast. I'm looking forward to May 11th and getting in that hike, and then like I said, I was already thinking of what beer and ice cream combination I'm going to have. Now I gotta figure out what I'm going to use as far as a discount.
There's so many good things on tap. So
yeah,
so many choices.
Yeah. Well, great.
Should we talk about when they arrive in the morning or anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
My goodness. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, Jenny. Yeah, that's why we've got you on here, to kind of keep it balanced here. So we're talking about getting there 8:30. They can park. Anyone who wants to carpool would be able to park there on site, right? And then
yes. So if you don't have a parking pass for the park, and some people do, this is a great opportunity. So yeah.
People on the previous hike, they got to know one another because they were out there carpooling, and I've been bumping into people. Shoot, I bumped into Ron last night when Max and I were out doing our Wednesday crafty grenade race, and
awesome.
Saw him afterwards, and it's been I think it'll be a great event. Everyone should enjoy.
It's a great way to meet new friends.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks again. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks again to Jenny and Joe for coming on to the Price Points podcast. Had a great time talking to them, and really, really stoked about the May 11th event that we're going to have starting at Peaceful Side Social there in Townsend. Again, to register for that, go to pricepoints.com, click on the registration link. Boom, you are in. It's going to be a great time with really, really nice payoffs, including some free ice cream after that hike, and then being able to take advantage of that 20% discount that SMOC's going to be offering for anyone who completes this hike on May 11th. Hey, if this hike isn't in your wheelhouse, but you are looking for some fun hikes, check out pricepoints.com. There, we've got trail recommendations. We've got series like goofballs and waterfalls, and the Trails and Ale stores, which kind of pair hikes with local breweries. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like. Been listening for a while, not following, go ahead and follow along, and leave any comments in the comments board. Greatly appreciate the feedback. Until next time, again, I'm Jeremy. This is Price Points. Thanks for tuning in.